And so another way to think about the progress that we've made together and sort of inform where we're going is to take a look at the user roles, take a look at how people interact with the actual applications. And one of those roles is what we refer to as the consumer role. I always like to go back in time and sort of look at pictures of our lovely software. It's like looking at pictures of your kids, with their funny haircuts, through time and stuff like that. So here's an early haircut of one of the Benefitfocus applications. Look at our logo. It had an eyeball in it, and that was our first logo. And people would stop by our Walmart office and they would try and buy eyeglasses from us, as a .com, and they'd come in and say, where do I get the eyeglasses from the focus area here? And of course I would try and sell them enrollment software, it's an interesting conversation. A couple things that you'll note, though. Big buttons here. We were using kiosks. We were using touchscreen before touchscreen came to your tablet and your phone. You've got this cost comparison little link here. So in our DNA was trying to help people understand the information and compare these great programs. Big leap forward with the marketplace technology in 2011, 2012. You start to see a shopping cart, a modern user experience. And then recently, just in the last year, we've made another major leap forward with our consumer role, a whole new host of capabilities. And to talk to us a little bit about this, I've got our Chief Interaction Designer, my good friend Matthew Brown. So how about a round of applause for Matthew Brown?
Morning, Sean.
Hello, Matthew. Now, Matthew, you and I have worked together for 10, 11 years now?
Yeah, almost 11 years.
And we sit close to each other in the design and engineering building. I love working with you and your team. You've got just a great group of folks and the work that you're doing. So as we look at the consumer role, every 4 or 5 years, we like to make a giant leap forward. We look at other technologies, other software companies and what's happening. And when you started on this most recent one, this new consumer role, where do you begin on such a big project like that?
So one of our core guiding principles is start with the user. So we always try to put ourselves in the mindset of the user and design with empathy. Empathy is a natural quality of all designers or makers of things, and it allows us to really relate on a personal level with our users and design solutions that meet their needs. The next is probably expectation. So all of our users are coming to our software, bringing an expectation from some of the other tools they interact with online, and we can really leverage that expectation and build upon it to create a more familiar experience, and something familiar is ultimately more intuitive.
Well, when we think about the user experience or design, we often think of sort of the fashion of it, the colors, the fonts, and the layout. But we know that beauty is more than skin deep, and particularly in engineering technology, you've got to work with the architects. You've got to think structurally, what the engineering themes are going to be in a few years. How do you go below just the aesthetics of the software and the design like this?
Yeah, this was truly a transformative redesign. So we really rethought each layer of the application, starting with the user interface. We designed a brand new set of mobile-first design patterns built on a modern UI framework, which leverages some of the latest and greatest front-end web languages, as well as some of the work some of the big players in the industry, like Facebook and LinkedIn, are doing around JavaScript libraries. And we're active participants in some of the core communities around those core frameworks. We also are continuing to invest in the service-oriented architecture and leveraging the Benefitfocus API to power the interface, and that abstraction or separation, if you will, of the front end from the back end is allowing us to do a lot of great things from a UX perspective.
And the other voice that we always want to have in a design like this is the voice of the customer community and our partners in our ecosystem. So how do you listen for that, and how do you integrate that in your design?
So design, particularly software design, is a very fluid process. So we're constantly listening to the community, constantly soliciting feedback from our users and listening firsthand what works, but more importantly, what does not work. And so I have a couple of good examples I can show you that really shows how the feedback manifests itself into the application. So we'll start here on the benefit list, and we heard from our users that they wanted a little bit more context to where they were within the enrollment workflow, and something we refer to in UX as wayfinding. So we introduced a collection of progress indicators throughout the experience that really provides that context. So starting at the top of the screen, you'll see the overall progress indication, and that's something we've had in the consumer role for a couple of years now, but as we move into the interior, you'll see in the top right here, the benefits tracker, and that really provides our users an at-a-glance or a visual cue of where they are within the process. How many benefits have they enrolled in, and how many benefits do they have left to complete? And as we move into the interior of the page, you'll see we did a couple things. First, introduce the use of color, and that color denotes a state. So you have active, complete. We're also introducing motion or subtle animations into the workflow. So if I click enroll in this plan, not only does that state change, but you also see the application automatically scroll me to the next benefit in the workflow. And that subtle transition really provides a sense of forward progression and keeps our users engaged in the process. The next is really around the plan selection page. So you saw from the screenshots that we're constantly reinvesting and constantly rethinking the plan selection page, and this redesign was no different. In fact, we added a significant amount of more capability or functionality to this page while reducing or simplifying that user experience. So just highlight a couple things. We'll start with the plan selection template itself. So you'll see the plans listed here in the center of the screen. And what we did is we introduced a simplified version of the plan selections and really centering around three main attributes or three main data points: premium, deductible, and then introducing the estimated annual cost at the plan level. And what that does is provides valuable insight for the user to see how much how much they can expect that plan to cost them in the upcoming plan year based on that estimated usage. The next thing we did is we integrated the plan shopping app into the plan selection page itself. So if I click on your usage last year, expand the drawer, and now you see the plan shopping app integrated right into the plan selection page, and I can compare or estimate my costs based on my usage last year, the national average, or I can go through the process of personalizing that information by interacting with these different sliders.
It's really beautiful. And you think about this social mission of better information leads to better decision making, which ultimately leads to better lives. And behind every one of these screens and the designs, we're thinking about the individuals that work at your company or that you're providing services for, and helping them get the right information so they can select the right benefits so they can provide for their family. It's beautiful software.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just a couple of the many examples that we introduced in this new redesign, and the work, and particularly the underlying architecture, has really laid the groundwork for some of the amazing announcements we'll see today, this year, and beyond.
Well, it's a lot of fun working with you, Matthew, and your team. And before I let you go, just with the growth of the company and the size of the engineering team and the designers, 725 people now, I mean, what's it like to work on your team, and what's it like to recruit now folks coming to the company?
I'd say awesome would be a word I would use to describe it. But yeah, man, so I work with a very talented group of designers, researchers, product folks, engineers, and we all really center around two main things. First is the social mission. So we're designing for really big problems for real people. And the second is really we're doing it at scale. So we have a massive audience, and the software we're designing affects the lives of millions of people, and that's something we take very seriously. Well,
I can't wait to see what we come up with in the next 10 to 11 years. So thanks for joining me today. Round of applause for Matthew Brown. The new consumer role experience is available now. We're constantly adding to it. This really cool thing that you're going to see this year, new condition-based scenario modeling. So when you're in the plan shopping app, you can put conditions in there, and it'll sort of pre-bake that for you. One of my areas of investment this past open enrollment was working with a couple of our large customers on the HSA experience. Looks like a simple page, filling out your HSA, but boy, I tell you, the payroll calendars and all the stuff you guys do behind the scenes with HSAs is quite complex, I assure you. And so we've made some big leap forward in flexibility in ways that your employees can interact with their HSA and make their contributions. Really exciting.